Hey, friend, welcome back to the Morning Brew where we start our day inspired. So, it's my birthday week. Actually, yesterday was my birthday. And this year, I did something I've honestly never really given myself before, and that is the gift of time. So, for the first time ever, I took the day off from work and I call it my birthday solo date. And I just did things that fill me up. Nothing fancy. I started with making an appointment with my therapist. Actually, confession, my first appointment with my therapist. I give me the gift of starting this journey of therapy, and then I stop at Starbucks for my free birthday coffee. You know, that little perk just hits differently on your birthday. And I savor every sip while I was working on Thrive and the last little details for our event next week. I hope that you're joining us. It will be from the 8th through the 12th of September. Every day, we're going to cover one topic on how to elevate your energy, your mindset, your career, your brand, your wealth, and your life. And then I went for a walk in nature. It's been a while since I've been to this little park that I really love. During the pandemic, I used to go there every day to walk. And I haven't been there in a while. There is this beautiful lake and a river, and you can hear the noise of the water and the birds, and there's lots of beautiful flowers. So I just took a walk without phone, without podcast, without music, just me and nature. And then I found a little place to sit down by the river while I was having all these background noises. And I pull up my birthday journal, and you know what? It was amazing. Birthdays can sometimes feel like a lot. Celebration, sure, but also reflection, maybe even a little anxiety like, wow, another year older. Where am I at? What have I done? But having this ritual, slowing down, looking back, and then setting intentions for what's ahead, it makes the whole thing feel grounding instead of overwhelming. So I've been doing this, the journaling piece, for a few years now, and I can honestly say that it's one of my favorite traditions. It's not about resolutions or making a huge list of goals. It's just about pausing long enough to say, what am I grateful for? What did I learn? How do I want to show up in this next year of my life? So today, it's going to be a longer episode. What I want to do is walk you through the exact prompts that I use in my birthday this year, and I'll share some of my own reflections from this year too. And my hope is that they'll inspire you to try it for yourself. And I have to say, every year my journal changes slightly. I make a few adjustments, but pretty much stays the same. This is what I did, right? So when I go to my journal, I always like to start with gratitude. I think that helps me stay grounded, focus on the positive things. So I start with this question of, what have been my highs this past year? What are the things that I'm grateful for? I wrote a bunch of things on my journal, but one I'm going to share with you is one always thing that makes it to this part of my journal, whether it's on my birthday, on New Year's, whenever I do this, is my family vacations. And we had two amazing family vacations this year. And it's just been really good because we connect even deeper as a family when we are on vacation. We love to show our kids the world and learn about new cultures, and it's been really amazing. Then I asked myself, what have been my lows this past year? What are the things that I've struggled with? And to be honest, for me this year, one thing is dealing with a teenager and learning to deal with a teenager. It's a different stage in life that requires me to show up differently for my son. So that certainly has been one of my struggles this year. Then I asked myself, what have I learned about myself this past year? I really love this one. It's just not only about life lessons, but what have I learned about myself? It's like continuing to peel that onion that we've talked in the past. And I think I've learned a lot of things about myself, but one thing that I've learned is that my definition of success keeps changing. It doesn't stay static. And what success used to mean now means something different, if that makes sense. Then the next question I asked myself is what made me feel most alive this last year? And of course, traveling, connecting with my family, taking risks, doing new things, but also working on my podcast and my personal projects. Those always tend to be things that made it up to my list. Then I asked myself, what and or who did I took for granted this past year? I have to say that this question is one where I got a little bit stuck. I had to spend some extra time to really get to the root of this one because I think for me is always the little things. And I don't want to leave it just at the little things, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper. What are those little things that I'm taking for granted? Because as I go into this new year of my life, I don't want to take those things for granted. Then I asked myself, how did I challenge myself to be better in the past year? In other words, how did I push myself outside of my comfort zone? I was quite disappointed with myself on this one because I think that while I continue to focus on learning and development and pushing myself on my fitness journey and on the podcast, I feel I stayed more on my comfort zone this past year than what I would have liked to be. So, definitely something that I'm keeping in mind as I go into the new year. Okay, a few other questions that I ask myself is who are the people that inspire me the most this past year? And there's always people that I know in my immediate circle, but there's always also people that inspire me from the far, people that I haven't met in person, like all these people who put out amazing podcasts or write amazing books that inspire me. And I consider them my mentors, even though they don't know they are my mentors. The next question is what is the best advice that I've received this past year? And it's funny because, and I think this is a little bit of recency bias for me, but I think just recently someone gave me this advice of not taking things for granted. And that was exactly the question that I struggled with when I was doing the journaling. So, definitely, when I put all of those pieces together for me, that is something that I want to dig even further in the next few weeks. And then I asked myself, what has changed in the past 12 months? What in my life, in my career, in all the aspects of my life have changed in the last 12 years? And I realized that there's a lot that has changed. There's a lot that have changed with my team at work, lots of great positive changes. There's a lot that has changed with my kids. There's a lot that has changed with me as well. So I realized that there's been more changes than what I think there have been. The next thing that I reflect on is what are the life lessons that I learned in the last 12 months? And actually, I wrote a blog. I'm going to put the link on the show notes of this podcast episode. What I wrote down 44 lessons that I've learned, not all in the last year, but if you want to check it out, I really encourage you to. Lots of nuggets in there. And then I try to think about birthday traditions. What are some new birthday rituals or traditions that I want to adopt? And for me this year was taking the day off from work and having a birthday solo date. Really enjoy it. I think something that I'm gonna keep doing going forward. Once I do all of that, then I start to think about the future and what do I want to focus on next year? what I want to be intentional about, what will make this next year count, or how can I make it count. I make a joy list, all the things that brings me joy. I want to have that top of mind as I enter this new year because I want to do more of those things more often. But I also do a list of new things that I want to try this new year. Sometimes for me is new countries that I want to travel to. Sometimes is a routine that I want to do more often or more consistently. Sometimes is a new complete experience, right? Or sometimes is starting a new family tradition. And then I do a little vision board. So I have these 9 areas where I kind of think about where do I want to see myself in a year from now? Around my health, my wealth, my identity, socially, love or personal relationships, or my relationship with my husband, my relationship with friends and family, my career, my spiritual journey, and my personal growth. So, those are some of the areas that I think about. Okay, a year from now, where do I want to be? And I do this little vision board. It's not a traditional vision board in the sense of a collage of pictures. That typically I do at the beginning of the year. Here's more just writing down a little sentence that summarizes my vision for where I want to be by my next birthday. And that is, in a nutshell, my birthday ritual. That is my birthday journaling practice. That is how I integrate new traditions to celebrate my birthday every year. I try to find a new twist to it that feels right for where I am at that moment in time. If you've never tried anything like this, I want to invite you to make this your own, whether it's your birthday, a half birthday, or even just a random date that you choose. Carve out time to reflect and to set intentions. Because here's the truth, life moves fast. If we don't pause to celebrate, to notice, to choose, we miss the beauty of our own becoming. So here's for another year. Here's to growth, to joy, to becoming more of who we want to be. One birthday, one season, one chapter at a time. Thank you so much for celebrating with me today. And if this ritual spoke to you, I would love for you to share this episode with a friend who might be celebrating a birthday soon. Until next time, keep leading yourself with courage and intention. And I'll see you next Monday on another episode of the Leading Yourself and next weekend for our morning brew.